Hi everybody, Molly here. I wanted to do a quick video for you on the energies of a T-square. A T-square includes 3 points in a chart that create tension, and it can be felt as challenges, difficulty, overwhelm, confusion, and I want to walk you through what it looks like, what it means, and how to use the energies in the best possible way. So in this chart, there are 2 T-squares, one in orange, one in yellow, and I'm going to walk through each of them, and we'll start with the one in orange. So up here, we have Mars, Sun, and Venus, all in Aries, in what's called a conjunction. Mars is at 19 degrees, the Sun is at 21, and Venus is at 22. So these 3 planets are all within 3 degrees of each other. They're all sitting on top of each other, influencing each other. They're on the same team, and they're all in this Aries energy of leadership, speed. Let me get there first. Let me do something my way. It's the initiator energy. And so these 3 planets are opposing Pluto at 23 degrees of Libra retrograde. And we're going to focus on the planets, not the houses. So this is the sense of power in relationships. So there's a desire in Libra to share. In Pluto, this is generational. And so there's a sense of this is the generation that's changing relationships. So the desire to share and how to do so with the sense of power is in opposition to these 3 planets. And that opposition can feel like power is outside of you. That's what the opposition does. It gives that illusion that it's outside of you until you learn to work with it and you understand that that's in your chart. You have actually the strength of going back and forth, where you can't be too much in one sign, in Aries here, and you have to consider the other side of the coin, so to speak. So that's the opposition. Then we have both of these points, both that Pluto and the Aries planets up here, these 3 Aries planets, all squaring the moon at 24 degrees of Capricorn. I'm sorry, Cancer. Cancer. 24 degrees, right? So this creates quite an intense emotional experience because that moon in Cancer can be very soft, vulnerable, sensitive, intuitive. It's very caring. It's very compassionate. It wants to help people. Cancer is a helper. So here we have this tenderness, this kindness that can also be defensive, reactionary. It can be too much in its feelings, is being squared by the power of Pluto, which is wrestling for a control. It creates this square. And then the needs of the moon, these are your emotional needs, your daily needs, how you move through your world. These are this sense of safety or what you want to trust in yourself is being squared by the Aries planets. So this is a T-square, opposition and 2 squares. This creates a sense of tension in a relationship with yourself because you have all these parts of you competing for their needs and their motivations, and it's very different. All 3 of these are cardinal signs. So these energies are saying that they each have to be heard. They each need to hold their own space. So the moon is our first response. It can be unconscious. It can be just how we feel. It's very instinctual. So trust how you feel. The Aries planets want to start something, want to initiate, get it going. It's in the moment. It's very now. And that can be overwhelming for that moon. So the energies here are meant to work together in their highest form, but it could feel like you sense it in the lowest form first, where it's impulsive or it's emotional, and then there's a power struggle. And what you're meant to do is create a new way for each energy to be expressed And that could be through understanding, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how it feels. And now I want to sit with it and think about it. Libra is an air sign. And understand what this means and how I can feel powerful without giving that power away, without having this other people's energy override that sensitive moon in Cancer. And to look at what keeps me excited with that Aries energy. So these are all cardinal signs. They do initiate well. They do change well. And they're all in conversation here. Now, they're missing Capricorn energy for the grounding, the earth, the timing of it all. So it could help to bring in that Capricorn energy to ground all of this, to ground it and give it a practical sense. And what does this really mean? How can I be detached? How can I look at this for the long term? What serves me for the long term, not just right now and in the moment, and not be worried about other people, but how can the Capricorn energy, which is the missing cardinal energy, how can that support me? So with the T-square, you have a lot of potentially gifts that need to be expressed in a way that allows each planet and energy to own its space, to own its needs, to not feel bullied, to not feel overwhelmed, to not feel challenged. And that is going to be just part of this ongoing life experience of harnessing this, okay? Harnessing it, because it can be something that feels really difficult at times, but it's meant to help you slow down. Again, that would be the Capricorn message. Slow down, don't rush, sit with something. And I'm saying Capricorn because it's the missing cardinal energy. Okay, it's the missing season, if you will. Wherever you have a T-square, you look at what is missing to provide another piece of the puzzle. So if you had a T-square with mutable signs, you look at what is the fourth mutable sign that's not there. If you have it with fixed signs, you look at what's the fifth fixed sign that isn't in play, and what information can it bring into the conversation that you wouldn't normally look for yourself. So these T-squares can be challenging because it feels like the most powerful planet, or perhaps the planets that have the most weight, overrun the other planets. You know, they're like the stronger team. So when you're conscious of that and you're aware of it, it can help raise your consciousness about yourself. It can help you understand your own energies better. And if one energy is dominant, then you know perhaps to take a breath, listen to how you feel, and think about it in a way that detaches, that isn't personal, because this can feel very personal. It's not personal, all right? So that's a general understanding of how the T-square is set up and how these planets are all in conversation that can create tension, but it can also lead to a new sense of your own talent. Now, the second T-square that I want to show you has to do with the ascendant here, okay? So it's not a planet, it's a point, but it's an important point because the ascendant is how you present yourself. It's how you show your physical self. It's how people determine their first impressions of you. It's how you are in the world before people know you. It's understanding this is how people may describe you before they know you. So that Cancer rising, again, very caring. It's a helper. It can be accommodating, very aware of other people's energies and their needs, and very much emotionally connected to the environment and what's happening around them. But as you can see, there is a T-square to this point. And that T-square, the yellow lines here, come from Jupiter and Saturn in Libra retrograde. They square the ascendant at 4 degrees of Cancer. And so this is the Libra energy that wants to please and work with people, that wants to really be sharing, doesn't want to be alone, doesn't want to do it all on its own. It's the ability to think it through, think of the other person's perspective, think of how somebody else would receive this, for example. It's very aware of other people's energies. And it's very logical because it's an air sign, so it thinks. It's cerebral. It has ideas. And it could have a hard time expressing that through the rising. The planets that square the rising have a hard time expressing themselves initially until you get to know them. And then you get to know these energies within a personality. Then you would see them, but you would not understand this person's inner workings until you get to know them. So there's that tension there, maybe feeling defensive, sensitive, private. Cancer's private, not wanting to be with other people, but then wanting to be with other people. So that's part of this tension too between Libra and Cancer. And then creating the T-square is again how the Libra planets oppose the Mercury. Mercury at 5 degrees of Aries, 46 minutes. And this energy also squares the rising. So this could be needing time before saying something or how you really feel. This is a fast talker, a fast speaker, a fast thinker. In Aries, it moves really fast. It can move too fast. It can say too much too quickly without understanding how it affects. So that Aries can talk and then realize, oh, I didn't realize how that would be heard or understood by somebody else. So the opposition between the Mercury and the Jupiter and Saturn is just being aware of one's words, making sure to ask questions of other people, to not just talk, but to ask, to engage, that's just part of this person's desires, to really get to know other people and to communicate in a way that has those good mutual relationships. And then when this energy creates the T-square to the ascendant, that's not what people would know or sense right away. So this individual, she's amazing. She's dynamic. She has so much everything. Like, she really has incredible talents and abilities. And you wouldn't know that through the Cancer rising at first, because she could be quieter. That's the Cancer rising as well. It listens, it takes in, it observes other people and has to look at how it feels. And you wouldn't know at first the dynamo and her desire to work with people and to help people. But the T-square here provides tension, and there's 2 T-squares. So the theme with these T-squares is harnessing those cardinal energies to understand when the Aries will initiate, and then you have to trust in with how you feel, and then look at how to take that information and connect with other people in healthy ways. And then the missing component is that 4th cardinal, which in this case is Capricorn, and that's the energy of the earth sign reality, the practical skin, the practical elements that might not be clear at first, but that other people can provide, other people can bring in those parts of it. So this is rare and it's interesting, but the T-squares are meant to help work with all these parts of you and to allow each part to have its say, to have its space, and to honor that most of us are very complicated, and our astrology charts can reveal that. I have found that most astrologers that I've met or known have harder aspects in their charts. They have the T-square, they have the Grand Cross, they have other parts of their charts that are perhaps challenging, and that's what really led them to astrology too, is then they could think of a new way to work with these energies within themselves. and to honor these parts of themselves, these different aspects of their needs, in a way that allows them to work with them instead of work against these parts of you. So I hope this has been informative and interesting, and hopefully you've been able to connect some dots in your own chart. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your subscribes, your likes, and your comments, and I'll be back soon with another teaching video. Take good care.